Hello friends, Charlie Murphy here. Thank you for choosing my video. Playing a session of 1-2 no limit 6 max regular speed tables on Ignition today. We're already up and running, so we'll jump right into the action. Table 3, I've got 10s, blind down blind, facing a 3x open. I'm going to go ahead and re-raise the 10s here. Relatively clean board for 10s. Queen 7-3 rainbow. I'm going to go ahead and put in a small range bet on that board. Mostly checking back turns without hitting the third 10. Get check called. Turn is a board pairing 3, which completes the rainbow. This hand is going to play very well as a bluff catcher in the check back line or under repping to get some thinner value. No reason to start playing it too aggressive and blast off here. I could have some 3x, I could maybe have some 7s full, I could have some queen x and some overpairs that could be my value bets. Guess I can have, for bluffs, I can have some gut shots, some like the 4-5, 5-6 suited type hands. I could also barrel some blockers to the queen, hands like king jack, king 10, jack 10. I will check back the pocket 10s. Relatively safe river there on the 9. I'll be planning to bluff catch against most bet sizes, or perhaps put in my own value bet against the check. Looking to get hero called by a 7x, pocket 6s, pocket 8, something like that. If you stumbled into a 9x with a hand like ace 9, I think I want to go ahead and bet here. We're betting into a queen or some kind of trapped monster hand occasionally, but I can get enough value there that it's going to justify that bet. Table number 2, got queen 5 suited in the cutoff. This is kind of a mixed open. Let's see here. The blinds have not been aggressive or 3-betting. He's been calling in position, but he's fishy. That's not the worst thing in the world. I'm going to go ahead and open this. You could fold it as well. Not a big deal either way. But given that I've got fish and some players that have been passive, haven't been 3-betting yet, I think I'll get to the flop a bit more up than I should. I think it's going to be fine to open a bit looser. Table number 3, I'll open ace-6 suited, blind down blind. Get called, get an ace-10-8 rainbow. I will check to him on that flop. Table number 2, I'm going to go ahead and put in a small range bet on jack-4 deuce rainbow. I do have some backdoor straight and flush draws and an overcard. Table number 3, he gets about 2/3. I'll check call with my weak top pair, check the turn. Table number 2, we get a board pairing jack that puts a backdoor flush draw up there. I do have some removal to queen jack top pairs, but not a whole lot going in the way of actual draws or equity for this hand. But hitting a queen or 5 allows me to bluff catch pretty reasonably on the river. I'm going to go ahead and check this one back. Let's see, table number 3 goes and he overbets the turn slightly. I'm actually going to go ahead and fold my weak top pair, rather continue with stuff that it's going to play a little bit better. There's really not many rivers that are great except for an ace or an 8 on this particular hand. You know, hitting 2 pair doesn't do anything for me as it's counterfeited. I'm going to go ahead and try to re-bluff, put another bluff on the river here in table 2 with my queen high and that bet check bet line. It feels transparent, but it's going to be a bit more profitable than just trying to show down queen high and expecting it to be good pretty much ever. Can maybe fold out some ace high or some mid pairs. I could have a 10, I could have some weak jacks I trip back, check back to sort of under rep or trap. Could have quad jacks, could have hit 10s full. Could have some middle pairs like 5s through 9s that could be a value bet here as well. Against that river raise, I'll just go ahead and fold. Table number 3 in the cutoff with 8-7 suited, face a 2.5x open from middle position. This hand could be a 3-bet or it could be a fold. Given that the players tend to sort of call a bit too much against the 3-bets, he's not going to be folding better hands, stuff like king jack, king 10, jack 10 type stuff that's ahead of me that benefits from this hand benefits from folding out. If I thought that these guys would fold a bit too much, I'd 3-bet it. In this particular case, I'm just going to go ahead and fold, but the raising would be fine as well. Scan around these tables and see what we have in the way of recreational players. 42-8 with limps over a couple orbits. I think we can safely tag him as a rec. 33-13, although he's mostly calling out of his blinds, especially the big blind. I'm not so convinced that he's weak yet. But this guy, 59-6 with a bunch of limps. 33-11 with some limps, probably also weak, given I saw him open limp. Short stack with some open limps, 67-13 with some open limps on a broken stack, couple of wrecks there. Table number 3, face a 3x open, blind down blind. I've got 4-3 off, so just can go ahead and fold that one. This table does not seem too promising. I'll shuffle that one out. Let's see here. Table number 2, we have, appears to be a limp, an ISO, and then a call from the small blind. What do I want to do there? I'm going to treat that something like a cutoff open as it's isolating from the button. What do I want to do with that? I think this is not an unreasonable place to go ahead and squeeze. Limper, the small blind call probably should not be that strong. The smaller isolation size is probably not that strong. I'm going to be a bit more aggressive here. You don't need to squeeze this hand, but I think I'm going to get away with it enough to justify it. And the limper limp calls, everyone else folds out. We've got less than a pot size bet left behind. I have 2 overcards. I'm just going to go ahead and move him in. Force him to call with a better hand and outrun my overcards here. Scoop, scoop. Table number 4, have a limper under the gun. I'm in the cutoff with ace-jack. I'll treat this something like a middle position open where ace-jack would be a pure open. I'm going to open that 100% of the time in this spot. So I'm going to go ahead and pop up that limper. Hand like a strong ace should be playing very well against an under the gun limping from a loose passive recreational type. Table number 3, I'll open ace-8 suited from the cutoff. Short stack recreational player calls, puts about a third of his stack in pre-flop. I flop real strong, top 2 pair on ace-jack 5 two-tone. We've only got about a pot size bet left. I'm going to go ahead and actually give a free card here. Not that worried about the potential draws outdraw me when we're this shallow. I want to give him a chance to do something a little bit stupid, like put money in when he shouldn't. Upper left-hand table, squeeze scenario to the small blind. Cutoff opens, a recreational player calls the button. I'm going to go ahead and squeeze with my ace-queen. Didn't bite, but I'm going to go ahead and put in a small bet here now with that top 2 pair on table number 4. RFI player folds out, but the button fishy player comes along and calls, getting 9-8-4 two-tone board. I do have the backdoor nut flush draw and blocker with the ace of hearts. Going to go ahead and put in a small range bet. Table number 4, he check calls, got about a half pot bet left. I'm just going to go ahead and put the rest in. It's a pretty clean river. I guess some straights are possible, but I'm obviously not scared about that against a fish with half pot left behind. Table number 2, open ace-queen suited from the cutoff. He calls down. My hand is good. Pick up a nice little pot. Table number 2 got called by recreational players in both spots. I'm going to play my man in the middle play here and check to the in position player. I do have top pair second kicker on a nice drive board, ace 7 deuce rainbow. The recreational player stabs small 2 into 7.5. I'm going to go ahead and put in a small check raise here. Try to string him against any other dominated ace or some kind of pair that just decides it's not going anywhere. He goes ahead and reships. I'm glad to call off. We're against 7-6. Very happy to be in that situation, and I find a hold, and my hand is good. I scoop another nice little pot. Table number 2, I'm in the cutoff with 6-5 suited. Gonna go ahead and bring that in. That's kind of an optional open, but the regs left to act have not been 3-bet happy, and we have a sort of fishy type player in the big blind. I think it's a pretty reasonable open here. If I think I'm going to see the flop, it might be against a guy that's been a little bit limpy and fishy so far. Comes along for a call. We get a 10-8-3 two-tone board. He checks to me. I'm just going to go ahead and put in a small bet. Mostly checking the turn. I guess if I hit a 4, a 4, I can come along with that. He goes and he clicks it right back. I mean, I technically have a smidge of backdoor equity. The only real run out where I'm nutted is going to be a 4 deuce or deuce 4. I guess the 7 gives me some straight draws as well. But if I get a 7, I'm against higher straights, then the 7-9 run out gives me the ignorant end. This is not going to be all that strong on most run outs. I am going to call that little tiny bet just to look for the real nutted run out here where I find like a 4 or a deuce to make a nut low straight. Get a deuce of spades. I don't have a spade in my hand. I'm content to check it back and look for that 4 and maybe find a reason to bluff on the river. 5 gives me some showdown value. I'm not really going to try to fold out a 10 or an 8 here if he checks to me. He goes ahead and he bets. Looks like it's about 2/3. I do think he's fishy. 2/3 sizing from fish tends to be pretty over bluff. Now that said, he used a check raise, check bet line, and the board did stay low. I'm going to be paying off a 10x a decent bit here, but I wouldn't be surprised, especially on this low run out and that broken aggression line, if he finds some just nonsensical overcards. I'm going to hero call this, pay this off. Yeah, against a weak 10, which I'm not terribly surprised to see, but on a texture like that, where just nonsensical overcards could be reopening that river and incredibly check raising the flop against a guy I think's kind of fishy and has been somewhat aggressive post flop as well thus far, I think it's okay to hero call there, even though I'm going to lose a lot. I think it's probably at least a little bit better than folding. Table number 2, got a 3x open from the button. I'm in the big blind. Got ace-8 offsuit. Going to be towards the bottom of a standard call range. However, he's also been fairly passive because he's a little on the fishy side. I don't know. Against a true reg, this is sort of the bottom of a default call because I think he's been a bit more passive pre-flop and aggressive post-flop. I think it's okay to fold that. It's pretty close, though. Passive pre-flop meaning I'm not doing as well against his range because his range isn't quite as wide as I think it should be from a proper open in that spot. And the more aggression post-flop means I'm not going to realize quite as well. You know, if I hit something like a single pair, you know, even top pair with ace-8 against a lot of aggression, you know, multiple streets aggression, big bet size, I'm not feeling great about that hand. You know, if I make a pair of 8s, similar type deal. He was more passive post-flop or wider pre-flop, I think I'd be calling, but I think it's okay to fold based on those factors there. Table number 4, I'll open ace-10 from middle position. It's a standard open from that spot. Go ahead and give this guy a recreational player tag based on his pre-flop bet size, and as he pops me up from 2.5 to 5, I'd much rather have a hand that's going to flop a lot stronger as opposed to something like a dominated Broadway, but getting almost 4 to 1, I'm really not folding pretty much anything for that. You know, play a flop and look to flop something good. On the King 5-4 two-tone board with no backdoors, except for the backdoor Broadway and wheel draws, I'm just going to go ahead and fold, especially against a relatively large size, 6 into 11, with only another 24 left behind him. I think that's an easy flop fold. Table number 4, we'll open Queen 10 suited under the gun. It's going to be a standard open from this spot. Small blind player calls, playing short. Given that he's playing short and calling from the small blind, I think it's probably pretty safe to say he's a recreational player. We get a 2.5x open blind on table 1. I could 3-bet or call with the King 10. I don't know that he's terribly loose pre-flop. He's been on the nitty side, so I'm just going to go ahead and call that. Table number 4, get called by both blinds, get an ace-10-9 rainbow board. I'll be planning to check back my second pair. Table number 1, he checks to me in the ace-jack-deuce rainbow. I'm going to stab for half pot with my king-queen high and my gut shot to Broadway. And I take it down. Table number 4, turn is a jack, putting an open-ended straight draw out there for me to go with my third pair. I face a bet of 3 into 7. I'm going to go ahead and call that. Look for a good river, such as a king, an 8, a 10. Now he goes ahead and bets half pot. Because we were multi-way on the flop, I'm going to be a lot less inclined to start a hero calling or bluff raising, but that half pot size from a fishy player is just so over bluffed in so many cases. That's over bluffed by 15-20%. The check bet line is not particularly value heavy. The multi-way flop aspect impacts it some, as does the ace high flop. However, I think just with how over bluffed that half pot size is, I think I can still go ahead and make a hero call here. I'm expecting to be beat a lot of the time, but I think it's probably slightly better than folding. Yeah, I'm against 2 pairs, so I'm glad I didn't try any wacky river bluff raising nonsense there, as it was not going to get through. We'll pay off for the small bet, knowing I'm allowed to be beat a lot of the time there and still have that call be okay, especially against fish that presumed fish that screw up their range construction like crazy. Table number 4, get a 2 1/4 open from the cutoff. I'm in the big blind with 10-7 suited. A recreational player also is called along on the button. 10-7 suited could be a squeeze or could be a flat. I don't want to try to squeeze with that fishy half-stack player in there. I do, however, want to take a flop and close the action. Go ahead and call and check range on the flop. Table number 1, I'll open a 7 on the button. Table number 2, Queen 10 could go either way. I'm going to go ahead and fold it, but it's pretty close. You could open it as well. If I knew for sure I had fish in the blinds or passive players, I haven't been at this table long enough to really know. But if I knew those kind of things, I think I would open it. Table number 1, I'm in what's effectively middle position with King 10. It's a standard open. I'll go ahead and bring that in. I'm going to shuffle this table out too, as it doesn't appear to have very many weak recreational type players. Table number 4, it's checked around. Nobody showed any desire to bet on the queen or the ace thus far. My 10 high almost certainly cannot win. I'm going to go ahead and try to bluff it instead. I think that's going to show a little bit better return than just checking and effectively surrendering my 10 high. I can have aces or queens here legitimately to value bet, so and these guys just are not acting like they're all that strong. If I could even fold out stuff like jack and king high, it's already going to help me. Ran into trip queens. I can't believe it took him as long as it did to call. I assume he was trying to decide between call and raise and not call and fold, but Made me think I was getting through for a minute, though, even though I wasn't. Table 3, I'll open Queen 7 suited from the button. Table 4, I got a 3x open from middle position. I'm in the cutoff with pocket 9s. Pocket 9's going to be a fairly standard re-raise in this spot. Going to go ahead and do that. Table 1, the big blind calls, checks to me on King 10-8. I'm going to go ahead and put in a small bet. I do have some backdoor straight and flush draws I can barrel on here. Everyone folds except the RFI player on table 4. I get an ace-8-5 two-tone board. He checks. I'm going to go ahead and put in a small range bet. Mostly be checking back turns. I can have some pocket 8s. Pocket 8s would be 3-bet to some extent pre-flop. I can obviously have top set. You can have a variety of top pair, top kicker, or good kicker type hands. All of ace king, all of ace queen, all of the ace jack and ace 10 suited, some ace jack offsuit. I can have ace 5 suited for some 2 pairs, and also some weaker ace x 1 pairs at some frequency. I think 9s are a much better flop bet there than a hand like queens or jacks, because I can fold out hands like queen jack, king jack, king queen, king jack, queen jack, that really doesn't have too much going for it on that board without flush draws, but have 6 live outs against my 9s, so I actually think I like betting 9s better than I like betting a hand like kings, queens, a weak ace x. I might bet them all anyway, but I think pocket 9s benefit more from that bet. Table number 2, get a 3x open from middle position. I am in the big blind with 5-3 suited. This could be a 3-bet or a call. Or I'm sorry, this could be a call or a fold. I don't really think you want to be 3-betting this. He seems like he's been on the loose side, so I'm going to go ahead and play this, thinking I'm going to have some more ability to play against him post-flop. I flop some kind of piece. And against the about 40% bet on the ace-10-6 rainbow board, I'll just go ahead and fold with only the weakest of backdoor wheel draws. Table number 3, get a 2.5x open from the button. I'm in the big blind with ace-4 suited. You could call or 3-bet this. He's been an aggressive player pre-flop. I'm going to go ahead and put in the 3-bet. This hand does pretty well on the 3-bet line. Face a 4-bet, which is obviously unfortunate. Against the 4-bet, I'll just fold the ace-4 suited. Table number 3, get a min raise open from the button. I'm in the small blind with ace-8 suited. And against that, that's just going to be a mandatory re-raise. I got that one through. Table number 4, button opens for 3x. I'm in the small blind with ace-9 suited. That's also going to be, I'll view that as a mandatory re-raise. I'll go ahead and put it in. Table 2 got ace-5 off on the cutoff. This could be an open in a few cases. We don't have aggressive players in there, and we got one guy that I think is on the fishy side. I'm going to go ahead and open that. Could be an open or could be a fold. I do get 3-bet by the in-position player, so we'll be folding the ace-5. Table number 4, the button calls. Get a queen 8-4 rainbow board. I'll go ahead and put in a small bet with ace-9. Mostly be checking turns with this particular hand. 9 is a pretty decent turn card, as now I beat stuff like 8x, pocket 6s, pocket 7s. I'm not going to be betting, of course, with second pair on that coordinated board. I'd rather be betting strong hands or flush draws, maybe some combo type draws, hands like King 10, King Jack, preferably with the diamonds. He goes ahead and he bets about 2/3. I'm just going to go ahead and fold my second pair there, without any other backup draws or removal to the real strong hands. Table number 2, 6-8 off, blind down blind, really isn't even a mixed open. We just go ahead and fold that. Table 1, open queen 3 suited from the button. Standard open. Big blind comes along, get a king 7-4 rainbow board. I do have a backdoor flush draw. Table number 3, a 2.5x open from the cutoff. I'm in the small blind with Jack 8 suited, just go ahead and fold that. In table 1, I'm going to go ahead and put in a small bet with the queen 3. Table 2, going to open king queen suited from the button. That's a standard open. On table 1, we get a board pairing king, put in a backdoor flush draw up. I'm just going to go ahead and check back. Look to hit a queen to value better bluff catch, which I did. Table number 3, opening king jack from the button. And against that sort of 75% bet on table 1, just go ahead and snap off with the queens. Run into trip kings, but what are you going to do? Table number 1, the small blind 3-bets me. I'll defend that 3-bet, the 4x 3-bet with king queen suited. Take a flop. He goes ahead and checks. I'm going to go ahead and stab for half pot. I've got 2 overcards, I've got a backdoor flush draw, and I've got some good removal to the Jack X type hands. Can maybe fold out some mid pairs or ace high, especially with another barrel later on in the hand. I'm going to go ahead and put in that half pot stab right here with this particular combo. Table 4, I'll open 10-6 suited from the button. Table 2, opening queens from middle position. On table 2, we get an offsuit 4. Doesn't do too much for my hand. I'm just going to go ahead and check back my king-queen now. Look to hit that king on the river. Table 2, we get called by the in-position player, the recreational player. I'm going to go ahead and check range to him on the Jack 10-6 two-tone board. He checks back, which is unfortunate, but not necessarily terribly surprising. Lousy turn card, and then it's an overcard, the ace out there, but I'm going to go ahead and probe small. I do have the queen of diamonds as well. He quickly calls. I'm going to go ahead and try to get value again from a non-ace hand on that ace pairing river. On table number 2, I'm going to try to value bet my king on the river there. Putting about a 70% bet. Table 1, opening queen 9 suited under the gun. Got called by pocket 8s against that wreck in the last hand on table 1 when I had queens. I get a cutoff open on table 3. My ace 7 suited could be sort of a mixed open. Or a mixed 3-bet rather here, given that these guys are really not folding nearly enough against the 3-bets, and they're really not missing too many in position 4-bets either. I think I can go ahead and let this one go. My king-queen hand faces a small raise on the button. That is not ideal at all. I do not expect that to be a bluff. I'm just going to go ahead and fold facing that. I could have hands like Jack's full, quad fives. King Jack, I might be a bit more inclined to call with this. I'm not getting value town by a hand like Ace King. Table 1, get a 3x open from a fish in the middle position. I'll defend my big blind with deuces. He checks back. I'm going to go ahead and put in a small stab. Plan to sort of bluff catch on blanky run-on, so I'm going to check and give overcards a chance to stab. And he had Jack 10, so he didn't even stab with them. But I did get a smidge of value on the turn with that small turn lead. Hey, before we got some limpers, recreational limps under the gun. Another rec limps behind. A reg-type player pops him up to 4x on the button. Just going to isolate my stuff with the ace-jack. Now against the ISO already out there, I think that's going to be a bit too loose to go after him there. Table 3, get a 3x open for middle position. I'm in the cutoff with Jack 9 suited. It's probably a little bit too loose to 3-bet. Pretty close, but I think I'm going to go ahead and fold it. Table 2, I'm going to go ahead and just sort of stab with my queen high on that 6-deuce-3 rainbow board with the king of spades. Plan to follow through on the river. When he goes ahead and raises back, I think I'll just go ahead and give credit for some kind of pair now. Against the king, I've got no equity, so just go ahead and fold. Table 1, get a 2.5x open from the cutoff. I'm in the small blind with pocket queens. Going to go ahead and put in this mandatory 3-bet. And table 4, get a 2.5x open under the gun. I'm going to go ahead and put in what I view as a mandatory 3-bet from the button with King Jack suited. Face a call, get a queen 8-3 two-tone board. I do have some backdoor straight and flush draws as well as removal to the top pairs on king, queen, and queen jack. Go ahead and put in a small bet with this hand. Comes along for the call. Turn is the 10, gives me an open-ended straight draw along with my overcard. Also does complete some stuff like, I guess, pocket 10's now got there. As well as Jack 9. I don't really have Jack 9 here, but I do have pocket 10s, pocket 8s, pocket queens, all of which can be betting. And the second barrel takes it down. Planning to follow through on that river. If I brick out or if I make the nuts. Hit the 10, I probably still follow through and jam. I guess the jack would be a card I check back on. Recreational player limps middle position, small blind completes. I'll check in with king 8 suited. Get a queen 9-6 two-tone board. You can just go ahead and check. Flop checks through. Turn is a 5. You know, doesn't complete a flush or anything like that. I get led into for a little over pot. I was going to go ahead and stab myself with my gut shot and overcard, but when I get bet into, I'll just fold my weak draw instead. The recreational limper calls the overbet, which is unusual to say the least after checking that flop, but I mean, we know he's a wreck. He's going to do things that are puzzling. He calls with queen 9. Snapped off the busted open-ended straight draw with jack 10. His play is fine, I just don't know why he didn't bet the flop. But other than that, everything makes sense. Table 3, you get a 2.5x open under the gun. I am in the small blind with ace-queen. This is sort of an optional 3-bet from this spot, but given that he's been super loose so far, and also given that these guys tend to call a bit too much in position, ace-queen is going to do very well against these hands that maybe shouldn't be calling but are. I'm going to go ahead and gladly 3-bet that. Table 2 will open aces from middle position. That, of course, is a standard open. Broken stack, about half stack flats the button on me. Everyone else folds. We'll check to him on the queen 10-3 two-tone board. Table 3, get a 3x open from the cutoff. I am on the button with king-queen. Going to go ahead and put in a sort of standard mandatory 3-bet with this hand. He goes ahead and he bets, tabs for about 2/3. I'm just going to go ahead and check raise with my aces and try to get this money in as soon as possible against a perceived fish. Get a hand like king, queen, queen, jack. He's just not going to get away from this unless the board gets too scary, so I want to get the money in before the board gets too scary. He calls. Turn is the 8 of clubs. It completes straights and flushes. However, I do have the nut flush blocker. I'm not that scared of this board, especially because I have the nut flush blocker, but I don't want to give free cards to let hands like a jack or a 9 peel off and put a 4 straight. I think I'm going to use the small bet size on that flush closing turn. That's a reasonable way to still get the money all in should I want to. Lousy river, that jack. I'm just going to check and try to show down against a hand like king, queen, or like a random pair of queens or random pair of jacks or 10s or something like that. I don't know, it was against a set of 3s that didn't find a way to stack me somehow. I guess he was scared of the flush closing turn when he decided to not 3-bet the flop, which is a very reasonable play and probably a reasonable reaction, but I'm happy to get away there having not gotten stacked. Table 2, blind on blind, face a 3x open. I've got ace 10. I could 3-bet this or call this. He's been pretty aggressive pre-flop. I think I just want to go ahead and call and leave in his weaker ace-x and hands that I beat. He's also going to be aggressive post-flop, give him a chance to start barreling off into my good top pairs, such as I held on the ace-queen-7 two-tone board. He checks to me, so I'm just going to stab for half pot with my good top pair. I get check raised. I'm not folding my top pair to a single check raise, of course, in a blind on blind spot. Interesting turn card, the offsuit jack, which makes straights possible. I also have a gut shot now with that 10 in my hand if the king were to peel off. I'd be quite content to check this back if he checks to me. That's half pot. I don't think there's anything to do but continue calling here with top pair and good removal and draw. Now he goes ahead and bets half pot. I'm not really quite sure what to make of all this, though, given that we're blind on blind. And the check raise bet line is not terribly bluffy, but the sizing, however, is pretty damn bluffy, even from regs. Probably not good at ton, but I think it's still a call. Against ace-queen. I think he played that pretty well. Table 3, get a 3x open from the cutoff. I'm on the button with Queen 8 suited. A little bit too loose to 3-bet that. Go ahead and fold that one. Table 3, 6-4 suited in the cutoff. A little bit too loose to open. Table 2, it will open ace-7 from the button, though. Table 3 will open Jack 10 from the cutoff. Or, sorry, Table 2. Table 1, I've got 8-9 on the button. It's kind of an optional open. These guys haven't seemed terribly aggressive. I'm going to go ahead and put that in there. I'll have position post-flop. I haven't been getting 3-bet that much. Although I get 3-bet this time. Table 2, get a 9-5-4 two-tone board against a fish. Going to go ahead and put in a small bet here. Could probably even use a bigger sizing on that particular board. Turn is a 7 of clubs, which gives me a gut shot to go with my 2 overcards. I think I'd rather check this one back. Bet my stronger draws, straight draws and flush draws, big straight and flush draws. Hands like 8, 10, 6x. I think I'll check this one back. River is an offsuit 6, putting a 4 straight out there. He goes ahead and bets pretty small. I'm just going to go ahead and try to bluff raise him off of that. Ace-queen, we're going to go ahead and 3-bet on table 1 against the 2x button open. He's a bit on the tight passive side thus far, but I think it's still going to be okay to 3-bet ace-queen, just because if he calls too much, we're doing pretty well with the ace-queen against his calling range. Could also flat ace-queen against the min-raise open as well, and that wouldn't be bad. He calls me, getting 9-6-4 monotone board. I've got no piece of it. I'm going to go ahead and check range on that lousy board that should favor the imposition caller more so than me. Table number 4, getting a min-raise under the gun from a fish. I'm in the small blind with pocket 7s. It's normally a 3-bet against the min raise from under the gun player. Because he's so short, I think I'd rather just take a flop. I'm going to deviate and call here. On table 1, I'm going to fold the ace-queen high on that monotone board. We'll check to the recreational player on table 4 on that 6-5 deuce two-tone board. He stabs for 3 into 475. I'll check call with my overpair. Decent turn card an 8, giving me an open ender. Get a min raise on table 1 from middle position. I'm going to go ahead and 3-bet my small blind with pocket jacks. Table 4, he barrels again about two-thirds. Going to go ahead and check call with my pocket pair and open ender. River is that 9. Let's see here. Now I'm going to actually go ahead and lead against the fish here, having made the straight. He quickly calls down my bet. Yeah, a set of deuces, so I did river him there. I think I probably took away his chance to check back on that scary board by leading the river. I think that was probably a good decision. Table 1, get a 2.5x open under the gun, middle position calls. I'm in the small blind with ace-queen, which is sort of an optional squeeze here. But given that these guys tend to call too much in position and don't really 4-bet nearly enough to really make me hate life, I'm going to go ahead and put in the squeeze with ace-queen. The real benefit of this hand is them calling with hands like king, queen, queen, jack, ace, 10 type stuff too much to where my hand will do real well against that. Hands that they should be a bit more cautious with against the squeeze. That time the squeeze gets through, which I'm also good with. Picking up the pot pre-flop is almost never a bad thing. Table 3, we've got a recreational player limps under the gun. I'm in the button. I'll treat it something like my cutoff open spot, which means I'm going to be opening King 6 suited as a standard here against that limper. Well, I guess not really opening, but isolating. Table 4, I'll open Queen Jack blind on blind. Limper limp calls, flop top and bottom pair on King 8-6 two-tone. I'm going to go ahead and put in a small bet. Table 4, blind on blind, we're facing that 3-bet. Lousy turn card in 8, which counterfeits my 2-pair. I'll go ahead and check back my weak king at this point. Now he goes ahead and he blasts for full pot. Think about what to do here. Full pot's about neutral from fish. Check call, check bet's a little over bluffed. Pairing turn a little over bluffed. I'm gonna go ahead and call this. Could have some 8x, but could have some brick draws. Table 1, I'll open King 8 suited blind on blind. Table 4, I'll open Ace 7 suited on the button. Both blinds call me on table 4, have a weak open ender on 10-9-8. I do have a backdoor flush draw as well. I think I'll just go ahead and check this. Rather keep the pot a bit smaller on a 6 or a jack, give the backdoor clubs a chance to turn a backdoor draw, which they're dominated. Big blind probes the turn for a little less than half pot on that 4 straight run. I'll just go ahead and fold. Well, up in King 7 suited from middle position on table 1. Against that small blind 3-bet, I'll just be folding. Get a 3x open from a short stack player on table 4. Just going to go ahead and defend that for a call because he's so short. Don't want to raise up and get myself pot stuck, but this hand will play fine out of the call line. Got 2 overs and a flush draw on 4-3 deuce 2-tone. He goes ahead and checks back. I'm going to go ahead and probe the turn on that jack. Still have a flush draw and an overcard. Didn't get there, but I'm going to go ahead and follow through with my bluff. I'm going to take it down, probably fold out some ace-high type nonsense, trying to hit a gut shot. River 2 pair there in this limp pot where I jab the turn for the minimum. I'm going to go ahead and try to get value out of my 2 pair. Table 4 in the small blind, I've got pocket 6s. I'm facing a 2.5x open from the cutoff. This is kind of an optional 3-bet. He hasn't been folding to the 3-bet so far. He seems pretty aggressive himself pre-flop. I thought I was getting more folds. I think I might re-raise this. However, I don't believe that's going to be the case. The pool in general doesn't really fold all that much against the 3-bets either, so you want to be a bit more value happy, especially out of position. Table 1, I'll open ace-3 suited, blind on blind. Table 4, I'll open jack-9 from the button. Hit 3-bet on table 1, but it was probably a reg. I'll just go ahead and defend that and check the flop. I get, doubled from 2.5 to 5 on table 4, so I'll defend with jack-9, looking to hit a good flop. Decent flop, having flop top pair. I do have a backdoor flush draw. I think I just want to move all in with my top pair to deny equity and hope I didn't run into an overpair. He bets half pot. He's got 2 overs and a flush draw, so we're racing. I got outran, but that's the way the game goes. Against that half pot bet, I think I'm just going to go ahead and fold this on that scarier board. Could arguably check raise with the backdoor flush draw and look to dust off if I pick up equity on the turn, but I think I want a board a little less scary to use that move. Table 4, opening 6s from the cutoff. 3-bet in position by a rag. I can defend with my mid-pocket pairs like 6s through 9s here. 4-bet 10s are better. Call and take the flop. The queen 8 deuce two-tone board. Can have a lot of top pair. Can have some big flush draws or backdoor flush draws. Can have pocket 8s for a set. And those are the hands I'd be looking to continue with primarily. Sets of aces, pairs of queens, flush draws, backdoor flush draws. 6s, I think I can just go ahead and check fold. Recreational player limps on table 3 in the cutoff. I'll check my big blind with Jack 4 suited. He checks back. I'm going to go ahead and probe at that turn. I think he's got all kinds of weak air that will just fold. And he does. Lower right-hand table, a rec limps under the gun. I'll go ahead and complete my small blind with 10-7 suited. Flop checked around, turn is a 5, a flush closing 5. I'm going to go ahead and stab small here with my 7. Both players call. Great river for me, a trip 7. I'm going to go ahead and try to put another value bet, having picked up some extra strength with my hand here. Get called by the big blind. My hand is good. You got a weak queen. There's not an unreasonable way to play that hand. Table 3, opening ace-jack suited from the button. Table 2, or in the small blind with King Jack, the cutoff opens 2.5x. It's an optional 3-bet. I'm going to go ahead and put this one in. Might get called by some weaker hands like Jack 10, Jack 9 suited, King 10, King 9 suited type hands. I think it's okay to put in some 3-bets there. Folding would also be fine though. The limper on the new table 1, go ahead and give him the recreational player tag. Limper on the button on table 1. I'll check in with Queen 10. Get a Queen 9-9 rainbow flop. We'll check, plan to check call. He checks the turn. We got a 3 out there. A 3 puts a backdoor flush draw out there. I'm going to go ahead and bet small with my top pair. He min raises me. I'm not going away for the min raise. I will call that. I will check the river. A big bet probably makes me give him some credit here, is my initial thought. Let's see what he does, though. Sizes up pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and give him credit based on that size up in the turn raising line on a paired board. Table 4, blind down blind, facing a 3x open. I've got queen 3 suited. We'll defend that. Table 3, you could 3-bet king 7 suited. I think that's a little bit too loose, though. Table 4, he checks to me in the 8-8-4 two-tone. I'll go ahead and stab for half pot. And I'm probably going to get some overfolds there on that board that's pretty dry and hard to have a lot of continues. Table 1, recreational player limps. I'll isolate from the button with a ace-4 suited. Comes along and calls. We get a 6-5 deuce two-tone board. I've got a backdoor flush draw, a gut shot, and an overcard. We've got about 2x pot left. I'm going to go ahead and check this back. I'm probably not folding out too many better hands like pairs or better ace high. If I get jammed on, I get myself pot stuck and may have to fold out my equity. I think the check back line is going to be a bit better. Then he goes and jams turn on the 3 spade and 4 straight board. I'm just going to go ahead and fold my weak pair. He shows up with queen 10. He did have a spade to help bail him out. A little bit reckless, but I guess I don't hate it. Table 3, opening king queen suited from the button. Big blind comes along for a call. I get an ace jack deuce monotone board. I do have a gut shot. I'll go ahead and put in a small bet. Mostly checking the turn unless I hit a non-diamond 10, in which case I can keep betting for value. Table 3, opening jack 10 suited from the cutoff. Table 3, we get a king 10 6 two-tone board. I've got second pair backdoor flush draw. Checks to me. I'll go ahead and put in a small bet with my second pair backdoor flush draw. Table 1, recreational player limps. I'm going to go ahead and isolate from the big blind with jack 10 suited. I think he's got a super wide range, playing 82-0 with 100% limping frequency when given the opportunity. Goes ahead and folds. Table 1, blind down blind. Queen 7 a little bit loose to be opening. Table 3, get a min raise from the button, small blind calls. I'm in the big blind with aces. Going to go ahead and put in that squeeze. I get 4-bet half the stack. Against some 4-bets I would trap with the aces, but given that he's already got half the stack in, I just don't see how he ever gets away, so why let him off the hook here? Or if he's 4-betting half his stack to fold, that's also a pretty disastrous play too. We'll ship the money in. Went from 14 to 44. That's a huge 4-bet. means I don't really need to call anything against that. I think I can just jam or fold. There's no reason to have traps or defenses or anything like that against that size. And now he's tanking. Interesting. Really feel like the decision should have already been made. What you're going to do against the jam once you put half the stack in. But I'm really not sure how he folds anything here. But he does fold. Whatever. Pick up a large 4-bet off him. Table 1, opening ace-9 from the cutoff. Get a 5, 6, 7 board. I'm not going to use a small range bet on that board because it's so low in coordinate. I am, however, going to bet hands like ace-9, the stuff that coordinate around that straight draw. So I'll use a 2/3 size here with my ace-9, my 2 overcards, and my gut shot. Comes along for the call. Turn is a 5. I think I want to go ahead and start checking back at this point now. There's my 8 for the river. Made a straight. It's a fish. I'm going to try to get some value from non-straights and non-boats. Go ahead and use a half pot size. Table number 3, get a 3x open from the middle position, and then the cutoff comes along for a call. Ace-9 is probably a little bit too loose to be 3-betting in that spot, so we'll just go ahead and fold it. Table 2, we've got 4s under the gun. This is sort of a mixed open. Hasn't been too aggressive. There is a fish in position. I'm going to go out there and just open this hand. I don't think I'm going to get 3-bet too much. I'll open those small pairs. Table 1, button open limps. I check in with 7-4. We get a jack 6-5 two-tone board. I've got an open-ended straight draw. He goes ahead and bets 2x pot. Don't really see any reason to be check raising against a size like that from a fish. I will call looking for that 3 or the 8 though at least once. Check the turn. And he bets again, this time for half pot, but I'm going to fall. It's going to be very hard to play the low draw to position on the river. I'm just going to go ahead and fold it now instead. Really just looking to hit a real strong hand on the turn before we get too deep and start shoveling some money in before he gets a chance to get away. Against the 4s, get 3-bet on table 2. I'll just go ahead and muck them. Table 1 got 5-4 suited under the gun. That can be an open in some cases. The in-position players have not shown any propensity for 3-betting. Really no one at the table has. I've got a fish in the blinds. I'm going to go ahead and make sort of a light optional open here with my 5-4 suited. Table 4, 3's in the cutoff. It's an optional open. I will do it. I've got fish in the blinds. Reasonably aggressive regs in the other spots, but I just want to try to get in there with that fish. I do get in there with the fish, but I get a ace, king, queen rainbow board. I'm going to go ahead and put in a small bet. Try to fold out just random overcards or pocket pairs like 9s, 8s, 7s that currently beat me. Or if I do hit the 3, I can start going ham, thinking it's most likely good. Turn is a 4 that puts a backdoor flush draw. I'm just going to go ahead and check this one back. River is the jack, puts 4 to the straight out there. Going to go ahead and try to turn this into a bluff. Maybe some merit in overbet bluffing, but I think that's a little bit reckless against fish. I'm just going to go ahead and use a more standard 2/3, 70% type size and try to fold out a weak pair. I don't know if I'm going to fold out too many 2-pair combos if he's got something like king jack, queen jack. I do think it's going to be a little bit better than showing down. Showing down is never going to win effectively. And the bluff got through, so it obviously wins some of the time. Which isn't necessarily a reason to bet, is winning some of the time as opposed to checking down. Because if the bluff is not profitable, I can lose more than just checking down and surrendering the pot. However, it's pretty unusual to find a spot in the game tree where that happens. It's almost always better to bluff than surrender. So I wouldn't default to that, absent a real good reason to the contrary. Table 2, opening aces under the gun. Got a 3x open from the under the gun player on table 4. I'm in the big blind with 8-6 suited. This is sort of an optional, defense via a call here. Given that he's on the shorter side, I've got less implied odds if I flop a straight or something special like that. Hand's not going to play quite as well as it would against a full stack player. He's shown some reasonably aggressive tendencies as well with 3-betting and post-flop aggression. Too early to make too much of it, but the stack size primarily is going to lead me towards the fold. Let's see here. Table 1 got a 2.5x open from the cutoff. I'm in the big blind with king 9. That's really just outside of standard defense. Table 1 got that 2x open under the gun. I'm going to also fold my 7-4. It's against middle position, but it's not going to change anything. I'm still folding 7-4 offsuit. I'm going to go ahead and take a little break and shut my tables down here too next time the blinds come around. Table 2 will open queen 3 suited from the button, sort of towards the bottom of a standard open, but a pretty standard open. Table 3, get a min raise from the under the gun player. I'm going to go ahead and put in a standard mandatory 3-bet from the small blind with pocket queens. That guy who did that real spazzy, super large 4-bet. I would normally defend queens against a 4-bet, but he's 4-betting so big, and he's also shown the ability to do kind of stupid things with that 4-bet size, so I'm not going to get too spooked out here. Just going to go ahead and ship it in and force him to show me aces or kings instead. He called off with jacks, which is also a great result for me. Table 2, I'm under the gun with pocket threes. That's going to be an optional open. Got fish in position. Most of the players are not too 3-bet happy. The fish, however, is short stacked. The other guys don't seem too weak. I'm going to go ahead and fold that one. Some argument for opening it. I'd rather, if I had a fish in the blinds that was deeper, that'd be a real good reason to do it. You know, so a couple of these guys have shown some propensity for 3-betting. Probably not a lot, but these small pairs don't block any of the 3-bets. They don't have any of the ace, king, queen, high type hands or the big pocket pairs block. So you're going to get 3-bet a bit more with those holdings than if I had a hand like, say, you know, ace 4 suited. It's going to get through a lot more pre-flop as well. You know, if I had fish in a spot where I could win a lot of money off them, I'd be coming along, but it doesn't look like I do. In the cutoff on table 3, we'll open ace queen. Like last hand coming up here on table 4. Ace-3 offsuit under the gun. I will fold that. So that's the end of the session. Until next time, this is Charlie Murphy signing off. Thank you very much for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed watching. I sure enjoyed making it. I'll see you next time.